Alright, so have you ever gotten stuck on a problem which is incredibly niche to your work, and no matter what you do, you cannot find a solution? Even you hop on Google, type in your problem, until a day or two afterwards you find a solution on a Reddit post, a forum, or maybe dark web. Alright, so what if I told you those days are gone and you do not need to do all those steps today? So in this tutorial, I'll be explaining you my problem and how I got around it using ChatGPT. Alright, so let's begin. Alright, so let's get to the problem first. I will be adding a subdivide mesh, take it to 2 or 3, set position, and I want a wave texture on this plane, so I'll be getting a wave texture, combine XYZ. I want it to act on the Z axis. Alright, let's plug this value here and this comes there. Now something's gonna happen. Let's change it to rings, also spherical, maybe 0.2 will work. Now you will see a wave is being shown. Alright, next step is to add in split edges so that each face is being cut, split into its own piece. Let's gather in a capture attribute. I'll be getting position of the face and let's plug it in the vector. Now I'll be getting, let's change it to face. Alright, now I'll be getting each of the face separately. Alright, let's change the subdivision to maybe 4 or 5. Now if I change the face offset, I can do this. Alright, now my problem was that I wanted to play with the center of this wave, like the origin of this wave. I can use the phase offset, but I cannot still play with the center of this wave. So I did the same thing. You go to Google, go to forums, check the Reddit. I could not find any solution about it. Alright, so what I did was I simply took a screenshot of this screen with the node setup and whatever is happening on the viewport. Alright, I came to ChatGPT, simply pasted it here and asked one question straight: is there a possibility to change the center of this wave texture? Alright, it gave me a step-by-step solution. Add a vector subtract node and add a combine XYZ to it. Alright, let's do this. I will come back here and add a vector math. Let's set it to subtract, and as it said, use a combine XYZ connected to the second output. Alright, combine XYZ, and if I change it through X and Y, now I can fiddle with it. Alright, so this is what I exactly wanted. Now the next problem was I wanted the center to be controlled by an external object. Alright, something like this. So my issue was like I want this center to follow this external object. Let's ask this further to ChatGPT. So I simply hopped back into ChatGPT and asked, I want to control the center with an external object. It said perfect, it's possible. Use the setup, add a geometry node, and in the geometry node editor, press Shift A, input object info, get its location, and in the subtract node, just feed the location into it. Alright, so it's pretty much the same thing. I'll just get in the sphere in the geometry node editor and simply plug the location into subtract node. Now simply I can control the center of it. Now you see, if I place my sphere there, its center will form there. Alright, just like that. Let's increase the scale of it just so you know what's happening. Now its center is being controlled by an external object. So my whole animation was solved by ChatGPT. Alright, now let's begin the real work. So not only I want the sphere to control the center of it, but also control this effect where it is happening. So I want this effect to happen where the sphere is exactly. Alright, not on all of its surface. Alright, so let's hop in back into geometry nodes. I will get in a vector math node again, set it to multiply. Now this value should be controlled by our sphere. Alright, so we have already this in our geometry node editor. I will gather in a geometry proximity node. Let's plug this value in. I will get in a math node, set it to divide scale by distance, so that this 3-node setup gives the exact location and scale values in the geometry node editor. Alright, let's also add in a color ramp And now let's plug this value in the second input. All right, now you can simply play with the sliders and get in your desired output. All right, now not only you're controlling the center of it, but also where the effect is happening. But there is one problem, like you will see the faces are not perpendicular to each other. All right, the previous effect was like this, where the faces were perpendicular, but here it's not happening like that. Simply what you need to do is gather in this capture attribute the position of the faces and plug it in the source position of geometry proximity node. All right, now this will solve this issue. Another fancy thing which you can do is play with the phase offset. Like I want it to run continuously like that, so I will get in a scene time node, just plug this in the phase offset. Let's see how it's happening. It's happening pretty slow. Get in a math node, set it to multiply maybe thrice as fast. Let's see, maybe 6 times now. Now this will give you a satisfying result. Now the one last thing which I want is that I want to change the color of it, so let's do it. To change the color, let's get in a store named attribute and let's float is fine. Let's change this to face. Name can be anything. I will type in COL and I will get in all the data from our geometry proximity node. Just make sure you are using a different color RAM for this, and I will simply plug this data inside our value. Alright, press new here, selecting the plane. I will get in an attribute node, call this function, call this attribute COL. Let's plug this in and see if something is happening. Right now nothing's happening. Let's change the sliders a bit, and now something is actually cooking. Now I want this to be a mask between our two shaders. Let's get in a mixed shader node. Let's use this as a factor, plug this in. One texture should be principled BSDF, the other could be, I guess, emission. Let's get in and use this. Now you will see something is not working correctly. Like I have chosen this blue color, but it's not visible like it should be, so I'll simply play with the sliders. Alright, something like this. So that is why I choose a different sliders, because the previous one wouldn't have worked like this. So right now our effect is happening like it should. So my final thoughts for this is that the world is changing and you need to adapt yourself. In no way I am promoting a negative use of ChatGPT for art purpose. The thing is, you can use this to actually speed up your workflow, especially for the newbies. Like I myself got stuck into many of such problems when I was learning Blender 5 years back. If I had an assistant like this back then, it would have been really useful. So instead of doom scrolling on the web to find a particular solution, you can straight away feed it to ChatGPT and get around it faster and in a smarter way. Alright, so that's that.